The latest of those is Shreveport Police Chief Ben Raymond. Hey, Chief Ben, welcome back to Keel. How you doing this morning? I would assume very busy.
Busy, but doing well under the circumstances. Thank you.
Chief, how will the governor's order change your operation and who comes to work and who does not?
Yeah, so the governor's order was clear that only essential personnel statewide should be going to work, and so that applies to the police department as well. We do have personnel primarily of a civilian nature that would not be considered essential, and we kind of have a breakdown of our resources and how we allocate. So we have emergency personnel that have to be at work, and that's, of course, would be your uniformed patrol officers and investigators. And then we have critical personnel and vital personnel that may not have to come in every day, maybe every few days, and this would be people such as payroll, those that assist with purchasing and things like that. And then necessary and desired personnel are those that we can hopefully send to the house or send to some work-at-home offices for the next couple of weeks so they don't have to have direct contact with anybody at the police station. So we've identified where our personnel from each division fit, and we've notified them accordingly.
That was kind of what I was going to ask. So there are people in the Shreveport Police Department who can, as a lot of folks are here, work from home, right?
There are, and it really depends on what division we're talking about and what their specific job task is. So, for example, investigators spend a portion of their time on a typical day inside the office working on reports and case folders, and they spend a portion of the day outside doing interviews and follow-up investigations. So what we're asking those types of people to do is spend as little time as you need to at the police station. So if you can take case folders to your house, if you can remotely log in from your computer from your house, do those things. Let's try to maintain that, limit the social interaction amongst other personnel so that we don't inadvertently share viruses that might be going around.
Okay, Chief, let's get to what everybody's worried about. If you're non-essential, but there are things you need to get out and do, you still can do many of the things that are necessities, correct?
Correct, absolutely.
And your office...
So we're not...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say that, there's been a lot of inaccurate information put out there on social media and under other sources, unfortunately. Martial law is not being implemented. Police not have checkpoints throughout the city to ask you where you're going and coming from. We just ask people to use common sense and pay attention to the governor's declaration. Only get out when you have to. If you need to go get food, go get food. If you need to go pick up prescription at the pharmacy or go have essential medical services performed, go do that. If you need to get out of the house so you don't have any domestic issues, go walk around the block, go drive around the neighborhood. We're not, the governor was clear in what we're trying to prevent, and it's got gatherings of people. But there's plenty of opportunity for you to get out of your house and do things as long as you maintain those appropriate social distances, and we would encourage you to do that.
So if a Shreveport police officer in his cruiser sees, theoretically at the park, a group of 10 or 15 guys hanging out, playing basketball, doing relatively innocent, on a normal day, is there sort of a memorandum? Hey, guys, the rule is the rule. Could you kind of break it up, or are you just going to let it go?
No, we're going to try to enforce it. And again, that doesn't mean criminal action. That just means, hey, guys, I'm afraid you're going to have to not play basketball for the next couple of weeks. Make sure you maintain some social distance. You need to be in groups smaller than 10. Have a nice day. Hope we don't have to come across you again. We're trying to be as polite as we can, but at the same time, if we really want this pandemic to start to subside, we've got to follow some of these protective measures, and so we are going to enforce those.
Mayor LaToya Cantrell in New Orleans has set up a team of officers from the NOPD to investigate illegal gatherings. We're not to that point here in Shreveport yet, correct?
We are not. We have got several complaints that come, some through citizens, some come directly through my email, some come from the mayor's office, and we are responding to all of them. And I've actually identified a particular specialized unit that could be used in the instance that we have to create a team whose sole responsibility is to go to these locations and make sure people are following by the order. We haven't got to that point yet, and I hope we don't have to.
Have you had any medical professionals, any experts speaking to officers, maybe at roll call or, again, via email, something like that? Here's what you, the boots on the ground, so to speak, can do to make yourselves safer.
So we haven't had anything from direct medical professionals. I send out at least one email a day to all personnel. A couple of days I've sent out 3, but I sent out one last night. So every time we get an update, every time we change something operationally, I send that out to all officers. I think it's important. Communication is important. And the problem is if you don't communicate, then you start to have rumors spread and inaccurate information. And so I think the best way to handle that is directly from me. I tell our folks, this is what's going on. This is what might happen in the future. Be prepared for these things if they were to occur. So we spent the last 7 to 8 days making a lot of emergency plans for things that have not happened yet. Hopefully they won't, but we want to be prepared for them. And so we're certainly sharing that information. A lot of what we share comes from Dr. Martha White, comes from the CDC, the World Health Organization. We've certainly told officers what they need to do to protect themselves, and we provided equipment, personal protective equipment, and bleaching water and sanitation wipes and things to keep their vehicles cleaned out and things of that nature.
Chief Raymond, Ben Raymond, Shreveport Police, have you had any employees under you who have either tested positive or who are in a self-quarantine at this point?
We have none, to my knowledge, that have tested positive, but we do have some that have been tested, that are sick, that have been asked to quarantine, and so certainly we're following the advice of medical professionals. We have our own policies in place as to at what level we need to quarantine a particular officer, and certainly the advice of any medical professional that we are quarantining.